Week 17, we have the classic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to break down that game, but before we do that, quickly subscribe and like this video. Ryan and I were trying to get to 2,333 subscribers. We're about 80 away as of the making of this video. We're trying to get that by the beginning of the new year. We would get 2,000 subs within this calendar year if we meet that goal. So like, subscribe, and Ryan, let's get into this game here. I remember when the schedule came out, we had this game circled. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. Super exciting. Everybody was pumped. And then have it being on New Year's Eve, where everyone's thinking home field advantage, playoff implications, because we all just kind of thought that these two teams would meet again in the playoffs in the AFC Championship, because they always seem to do that. Not the case. Obviously, injuries happen in the NFL, and then just overall performance-wise from this Chiefs, which, give you credit, you've been saying for about half the season now that it is like this has been the main problem, has been their receivers and just nobody to throw to. The Bengals, Joe Burrow's out for the season now. Jamar Chase has a separated shoulder and is probably done for the rest of the season. He'll come back to the playoffs, but just during that time to heal over these next couple of weeks. They've also got hit with the injury bug real bad, losing DJ Reader and DJ Ivy as well in Week 15 against the Vikings. What's your kind of overall thoughts on this game, expectations? Because Jake Browning's played well, a lot better than people thought he was going to play, but still, is it enough to get them to the playoffs?
Yeah, he came back down to earth, I think, last week against the Steelers, and just wasn't quite as solid as we had seen in weeks past. And part of that, being on the road in a division matchup, I think is a different experience for any quarterback, but he just made some bonehead errors. And one of the things that we have talked about with this Chiefs team is that this defense is still really solid for the Chiefs, and especially that interior pass rush with Chris Jones. George Karlaftis is a good edge rusher, and I definitely think there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Jake Browning in this game. It does not look like Jamar Chase will be ready to go. I believe he's still dealing with a shoulder injury or a pec injury. I can't remember which one it was.
It's a separated shoulder.
Separated shoulder. And so it's going to be interesting to see if he can go. But both these teams, I think, disappointing seasons, and some injuries, some just talent not playing up to par on the field. And that's where I think the Chiefs have like 44 drops now on the year, which is just insane.
Sure. Yeah.
Like they lead the league by double digits. And that you just can't have that. And you can see the frustration on Patrick Mahomes. He also got hit 10 times and sacked another 4 against the Raiders last week. And that's just not a recipe for success when you have a quarterback of his caliber, because he can do everything right. And if receivers can't catch the ball or the offensive line can't block, then he's left scrambling every single play. And to me, that's how he gets seriously hurt, is in those types of situations.
I was thinking about that as well. And just according to BetMGM, Chiefs lead the league in drop passes at 37. But I was thinking about that as well against the Raiders team. And defense, if the offense doesn't make those 2 turnovers in that 7 seconds where the Raiders score, defense holds that offense to 6 points. And maybe the game turns out a little bit differently, just because the Raiders, if they're down, they have to go and keep trying different things, and maybe they do score some touchdowns, or maybe the Chiefs get some turnovers, and that helps put more points up on the board, and it kind of blows up into that game that we all thought it would be. The Chiefs kind of dominate the Raiders. But in general, though, you're right, that this defense is one of the best in the league. George Karlaftis leads the league in sacks, leads the team in sacks with 9. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He has 8.5 sacks. So just top to bottom, that whole defense is great. And you're right, though, too, going to Mahomes. I was thinking about it. He was just scrambling and scrambling. And one, he was under pressure a lot. The offensive line didn't really do that great of a job of going up against Max Crosby. And that Las Vegas defensive front is very above average. I'll have to say that. But then, to your point, though, it's not like this Raiders secondary is phenomenal, but these guys just could not get open. at all.
Mm-mm.
And so I think that they were able to cover Travis Kelce and put extra guys towards there, knowing then that that Rashee Rice was really then their only other option that Mahomes could kind of rely on a little bit. But he was just scrambling around because there was pressure, and then nobody was getting open. Nobody could improvise with him. And it's interesting too, just kind of think about then the offseason as well as I'm with the receiver talent in this class and where the Chiefs are probably going to end up picking. Like I'm penciling in a receiver, best available receiver in their eyes with their first overall pick, maybe even their second overall pick. They might even do something the Packers did, and just receiver, tight end, receiver, and just like
For
constant.
me, I mean, Xavier Worthy out of Texas is that speed threat that I feel like they really need.
Yeah.
And then I think Kadarius Toney. I know Black Monday is when all the coaches get fired, but Kadarius Toney immediately after the season is over should just be cut. I mean,
Yeah.
what he's done to this team this year, it has been nothing short of an absolute handicap. And I know he's a great athlete, and once you get the ball in his hands, he can be electric. But like he had a fumble and a dropped pass that turned into an interception against the Patriots last week, and like you just cannot continue to handicap your team. And then that doesn't even include the offsides penalty, the drop, the should have been a catch drop against Detroit that resulted in a pick six. Like you just can't do that. You can't do that in the NFL. And that's 3 occasions off the top of my head where he managed to completely hurt his team single-handedly.
Yeah.
So
Kadarius Toney, let me go and see his stats here. Only 169 receiving yards and 27 catches. Does it have drops on here next? I don't think that this has drops on Pro Football Reference here. I'll continue to see if there's a little bit more passing statistics offense. But you're right, though. I hate putting it all on one player, but he's just been highlighted so much, then especially then with the move and the trade. I do agree with you, though. It is like it's your job. You're a receiver in the NFL. It's like you got to be able to catch the ball. You got to be able to affect the ball. And it's not even like, I mean, Mahomes is one of the best passers. He's the best quarterback in the league. Like, and it's the drops where it's like it's freeze frame, and you're right. Like the Lions one is just one that sticks to my mind. It's like it was like this. Like these were his hands, and the ball just went through him right into Brian Branch, and we've seen that happen so many times this year. So I hate putting it on one guy specifically because I also think too there are people to blame as well in the front office. Like, how could you allow this to happen? Like, shoot, even letting Juju walk. I mean, at least Juju was a more consistent receiver catching wise. You know, but relying on him, like you go Travis Kelce and then MVS, and then you're hoping that this rookie second round receiver is the guy, which I think he can be. Rashee Rice has had a good season so far. He's
had a fantastic season.
Yeah. Let me double check here.
He actually might be close to 1,000 yards now.
Let me double check. He's at 811. He could get to 1,000 yards here, leads the team in receiving touchdowns. So it's going to be very interesting to see with the Kansas City Chiefs on where they approach in the offseason. But, yeah, I think – and then with some of the receiver options that are going to be on the free agent they're going to be on the free agency. I know T. Higgins is going to be on there. That would be an interesting story. And I'll get back to T. Higgins here in a second. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, like, let's see how much cap space they have. Exactly, but it's like I would not be surprised if they throw in the buku box just to try and be like, hey, we don't ever want this problem to happen again because we should be contending for Super Bowls every single season. So going to T. Higgins here real quick at Cincinnati, he's going to have a phenomenal game. But as we talked about with the Chiefs, his defense is really good. His defense is really good, one of the best in the league here. He's going to have a game, especially with Jamar Chase not playing as well, or not expected to play as of right now. So, but let's get into our predictions here. As I said earlier, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified. Help us reach our goal of 2,333 subscribers. And Ryan, throw it over to you. Who do you have winning this game and why?
So, I'm not a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs this year. I just don't think that they have the oomph to really contend for Super Bowl, especially – I think you look like the Baltimore Ravens. I think even the Cleveland Browns would be a dominant team over the Kansas City Chiefs right now, just because of the way that they would be able to control the trenches and consistently move the ball. And I just think there's other teams in the AFC that are better. But right now, I don't think the Bengals are one of those teams. That was a really tough loss against Pittsburgh on, I think, Saturday, and I don't know. I think they kind of came back down to earth after a couple of victories under Jake Browning, and I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here. I'm going with the better quarterback, really, and also I think you look at some of the injuries on the defense side of the ball for the Bengals, injuries and inexperience. I just think that they're not going to be quite as good. And they're not going to be quite as good as the Chiefs in this matchup.
Yeah. I have said multiple times, like, it's hard to bet against Mahomes in December and January, and then he's let me down so far this season. But I'll say it again: it is hard to bet against Mahomes in December. Here, you see what he does; like, he just keeps willing his team to try and put them in the best situation. And
Yeah,
if it wasn't for just 7 seconds of just dumb turnovers, they win that game through defense. And actually, I would love to see that Cleveland Kansas City rematch. I think that would be very interesting. Or by rematch, I mean rematch from a couple playoffs ago when Baker Mayfield was there. But
yeah,
I still think that this defense is going to be able to get after them. I think that they will be able to kind of stop Jake Browning, and not having Jamar Chase is going to be a huge loss for this team overall. And so I think that's how it's going to come down. T. Higgins is going to be the best receiver on the field, but then at the same time, there's a big drop off, I think, then to the next guy for Cincinnati. Well, at least with Kansas City, you have a bunch of, I think I saw one comment, you have a bunch of receiver twos and receiver threes that I think that Mahomes can work with. But then at the same time, and then you do also have Travis Kelce as well. Need to watch Isaiah Pacheco's status as well. He got a concussion during the game, so his status is up in the air. That being said, though, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has looked solid, in my opinion. I think, again, Jerick McKinnon back, if he is able to play, will help out a lot in the pass game as well. Good check down guy for receiving. So it's going to be a phenomenal game. Always love seeing these two teams go at it. So we're both going with the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help Tyler and I reach that goal of getting 2,333 subscribers. Go ahead and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Is it going to be the Bengals? Is it going to be the Chiefs? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.